All right, Tiger Dad, I wanted to make another video. I know you probably are really dying to hear what I have to say because my opinions are always right, always accurate. I'm never wrong. I know you guys learn a lot of information from me. I take pride in educating all of you because I am an educator, and I like educating you all, right? I want to talk about the state of Clemson football right now. Obviously, I think most of us feel like 2023 is going to be a massive year for the direction of this football program. I think it's clear that we have regressed for 4 years. That's indisputable. I don't think anyone would deny that. Do we make it 5 years in a row, or do we get better? Right. I think getting better than 11-3 ACC championship is obviously you got to make the playoffs. If we don't do that, then we didn't get better. And if we don't make the ACC championship, then we're clearly going in the wrong direction again for a 5th year in a row. So how I feel about where we are. Obviously, I'm very vocal about the transfer portal. I don't really talk much about NIL. I think Clemson offers a lot of NIL opportunities that as fans we're just unaware of. I mean, if you listen to Dabo, we have an entire separate building on NIL that's headed by a former executive for like Bank of America. Like, I'm pretty sure that guy knows how to get endorsement deals for these players. I think they make good money on NIL. I really do. DJ had Bojangles and Dr. Pepper. I mean, he's probably made millions at Clemson these last 2 years. So I don't think that's as big as an issue as some people make it out to be. Obviously, there are programs that are probably offering a lot more than us. Texas A&M probably has deep pockets, but I don't think our NIL opportunities are that bad. So I don't really talk about it. I don't think it's that big of a disadvantage for us. However, our Dabo's approach to it might be what's at a disadvantage, right? If he thinks that we're just not going to go after guys that are pursuing NIL opportunities first and foremost, that's going to be like most of the players in the country at the end of the day, right? A lot of these kids don't grow up wealthy. The fact that they can go into college and immediately transform their families' lives at 18, yeah, they're probably going to want to do that. And they're going to want to know how much they can make, maximize their opportunities while they're in college, right? Dabo always preaches that, something like 2% of college athletes make it to the NFL, or football players make it to the NFL. That's true. So obviously, if that's a true statistic, they're going to want to maximize their opportunity while they're in college. So clearly, NIL is going to be an important issue. I get that Dabo wants to keep education first. I do too. But still, I think, obviously, opening up more to NIL would probably be a better idea for us, in my opinion, especially if you're looking at transfer portals versus recruits. With the portal, though, from the very beginning, I've been adamant about us using the transfer portal. To me, it was obvious what was going to happen. The best players are going to get into the transfer portal, and they're going to go to the best schools. Clemson at no point has ever signed the number 1 recruiting class. Right? I think the best we were 3rd in 2020 and then 5th in 2021. But for the most part, we're not really top 5. We usually average around 10. If you look at like Dabo's career at Clemson, we're probably somewhere around the 10 mark, average recruiting rankings. Prior to the transfer portal, that was okay, right? The 2 schools of thought, factory, family. Alabama's a factory, Georgia's a factory, Ohio State's a factory. We're recruiting guys that they're coming to these schools for one reason and one reason only. They are using this as a prerequisite to go to the NFL. No doubt about it. Dabo's approach is a lot different, right? Family first, come have fun, get an education, all these great things. And I love that model. I really did. And I still do. I still think, obviously, we need to value education. I love the idea of tying the transfer portal to education, too. However, that's not the world we live in. The portal is necessary now, right? So Georgia and Alabama are going to sign better recruiting classes than us every year. They always have. They always will. Well, I should say the reason why. So I should say the reason why the Dabo's model was working prior to the transfer portal was we didn't have a lot of guys leaving. We didn't have this huge exodus out of our program. And the other schools, everyone's going to miss in recruiting. You're going to sign a 5-star, they don't develop. You're going to sign a 4-star, they don't develop. Whatever, guys for whatever reason don't develop as well as their recruiting rankings would have suggested, and they don't live up to that hype. That happens all the time, right? And so Alabama used to have holes in their roster along with Georgia, and Clemson was able to exploit those holes, and they couldn't really exploit ours. I go back to that 2018 game where we beat Alabama 44-16, right? Go look at their defense. It was not very good, right? Savion Smith, the guy who Justin Ross made fall down, doesn't play in the NFL. Patrick Surtain was just a true freshman. They had no edge rushers. I think Christian Miller, who plays in the NFL, was out. Really, they had Quentin Williams, who was a beast, but that defense wasn't very good relative to defenses they had in the past. And then offensively, I think Brent Venables, obviously, probably his best coach game, in my opinion. But Alabama had so many holes, and we just exploited them, right? We torched their secondary because they didn't really have a great secondary. They couldn't really get pressure because they didn't have great edge rushers. So I feel like the reason why we won that game is because we just exploited the hole. They were more talented than us. They had more NFL players than us, but we were able to exploit their holes. The difference today is Alabama is going to fill those holes with great players. They just are. Georgia will do the same thing. They will have holes in their roster, and they will go into the portal to fill them. Clemson won't, or at least hasn't yet. I hope we do. But we were always at a talent disadvantage against Alabama, even though we could beat them. Now the gap is just too massive for you to make up ground. I mean, it really, really is. I don't know how anyone could deny this at this point. Alabama loses an offensive tackle. They go in and bring in the number one offensive tackle from the transfer portal. Like, before the portal, we go up against someone who probably isn't ready to go for them, right? They lose their running backs. They bring in the number one transfer running back, right? Georgia loses people in their secondary. They go get the number one safety, and they get Darian Kendrick, come in, start immediately for a championship defense. That's the issue with us not utilizing the portal. These teams already recruit better than us, and now they're going to fill holes with the portal. Georgia just went in and got the two. What are they? Their weakness next year offense is clearly going to be their wide receivers. They went in and got the top 2 wide receivers from the transfer portal. The top 2. I mean, Clemson's also struggling at wide receiver, and we're probably not going to get a transfer portal player. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't see how we can realistically compete with the Georgias and the Alabamas if we're not going to use the portal like they are. I just don't think the family model is going to work at a national level. Right? If we want to compete for national championships, that model probably just isn't working as well. Clearly, it's not working as well. Right? Like, if you took away the transfer portal, I mean, Clemson probably makes the playoffs this year. I mean, we certainly beat South Carolina if they don't have Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells. Maybe we don't beat Notre Dame, but, I mean, 11-1, we beat North Carolina. 12-1, we're in the playoffs, right? The transfer portal just makes that big of a difference. It's allowed all these programs to catch up to us very quickly, and it's allowed the elite programs to just, like, get way, way, way better than us, where the talent is just too much to overcome. I firmly believe that. We have to use the portal. There's no doubt about it. And no, we can't just keep bringing in backups, right? We can't just use the portal to bring in Hunter Johnson to be a backup quarterback, or Paul Tyson to be a backup quarterback, or Josiah Carlson. And I know they went after those 2 offensive linemen last year. Okay, just 2? Go after more. Why not? Why would we not go after more offensive linemen? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it is a weakness in your team, and you only go after 2 guys? Like, I don't understand the whole mindset of, if we bring in this guy from the transfer portal, that it's somehow going to affect our culture. Why don't we just ingratiate them into our culture instead of pretending like they're going to come bring the whole culture crashing down. That makes no sense to me. Ideally, right, we need to, if Ngata doesn't come back, we have to go into the portal for wide receivers. Just look at the wide receiver depth we're going to have next year. Although I'm not going to say whether I like, if you look at our wide receiver depth, with Ngata not returning, let's just assume he doesn't come back. Adam Randall is going to be in the field, Bo Collins will be in the boundary, and Antonio Williams will be in the slot. Yeah, I like those three, right? I like Bo, I like Antonio. They'll play in the NFL. Maybe there are questions about how elite they are, right? They're probably not, Bo's not DeAndre Hopkins. Antonio's probably not Sammy Watkins. But I think they're going to play in the NFL. I like both of them. They can play winning football for us. They're a great duo. And Adam Randall, coaches rave about him. They love him. He's very athletic. He's huge. I didn't really see much from him this year, although coming off a torn ACL, freshman, I can give him the benefit of the doubt. I think those three start, and those three are probably a good three, and then Cole Turner, you probably presume is that fourth option. Probably will play multiple positions for us next year. And yeah, Cole flashed. Obviously, he has a lot to work on, but I think he shows good potential. Right? He's got speed. He can make plays. And then what? Right? Like Brandon Spector, Will Taylor, if he even plays, he might just pursue baseball. Troy Salata, who's never played, always hurt, although I really like his potential. Those are the next three. And then you bring in 4 freshmen. And let's look who the freshmen are. Noble Johnson, I like the tape. He certainly has the physical attributes to already compete. Same thing with Ronan Hannafin. Physically, they're going to be ready to compete. Mentally, are they there? I don't know. Obviously, nobody knows that. We'll have to wait till they get on campus. After them, you got Tyler Brown, Myson Kelly. Pretty sure both of these guys aren't going to be ready. I think both of them play with huge effort. They're going to give Clemson all they have. Grew up Clemson fans. I don't mind bringing them in. But let's understand what happened in the recruiting process right here. We have Noble Johnson. We have Ronan Hannafin. We know we're going to lose more receivers. We know that. We know guys are going to transfer. And we go and offer Tyler Brown and Myson Kelly. They might turn out to be great players. I don't know. What I do know is they're probably not going to help us next year. Who could help us next year? Players from the transfer portal. And realistically, how many did Clemson offer? Or how many did Clemson even contact? Right? This is the problem that I have. Right? We took those 2 scholarships away from players that would help us next year, and we gave them to players who might help us a couple years from now. And when I look at our receiver depth, we've got 4 guys that can probably go make plays. And then guys, I have no idea. Right? No idea. That's problematic. I don't know any other word to say. Right? That's not good. Obviously, the receiving core hinges on the development of, in my opinion, Adam Randall. If he just doesn't take the next step, you're probably going to look at another pretty bad receiving core. And then if we don't stay healthy, which we haven't really in the last 2 years, depth is going to become just a serious, serious problem at that position. Offensive line, right? We're losing McFadden, our best offensive lineman. I'm of the position that you go into the portal to try to find the best offensive lineman. If you don't, at least you gave it a shot. You ideally want to replace your best offensive lineman with a guy who's probably going to go to the NFL the following year. That just seems smart to me. I don't know what the coach is going to do. It probably looks like they're just going to keep the guys they have. Hopefully Tristan Lay is ready to go at left tackle. Obviously Walker Parks could probably slide out there. Depending on Mitchell Mays and Dietrich Pennington. Honestly, Mitchell Mays could play left tackle as well. I know he cross-trains. Marcus Tate could. He cross-trains as well. Offense line will probably be fine next year. Returning 4 starters is pretty big. But still, I would like to replace our best with transfer portal. Defense is biggest question mark, right? I'm glad Justin Masco came back for his 6th year. He's played for 4 years now, and I just haven't really seen much of an impact from him. Maybe 6th year he explodes with more playing time. I don't know. If we don't get KJ or XT back, got to go in the portal. There's no other option, right? If you don't get XT or KJ back, You have Maskell is the only person on our defensive end with any experience. He's never really been an impactful player his entire career. After that, you got Denhoff. I liked him as a recruit. Zaire Patterson. I liked him as a recruit. Neither one of them play. Jaheim Lawson was, once we lost a decommit, we offered Jaheim Lawson late in the process. Probably a developmental guy. Probably not going to be ready next year. And then the 3 freshmen, I like them, but man, do I really want to rely on a freshman coming in to start? Right? Not all of them are going to be Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence and Brian Brzee and Miles Murphy. Those guys are special. Those guys are first-round draft picks. Christian and Dexter are some of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. I think Brzee and Miles Murphy have that same potential. I just don't. It's just unrealistic that all of these guys will be that great. All 4 of those guys, Dexter, Christian, Brzee, and Miles, 5-star recruits, some of the best recruits in the entire country. None of our defensive ends are 5-star recruits. I like Tamarian Parker. I think he'll end up being a pretty great player. Defensive tackle, not really worried about Tyler Davis and Rook. It would be great if they came back. If they did, we'd probably lose somebody in the portal, just because we got so much talent there. We got a lot of guys that can start for Power 5 schools. If they don't come back, I like Peyton Page and I like Trey Williams. I think both of them have just flashed and have just waited for the opportunity to be starters. I really think that they'll be, if they do start next year, they'll be great. Maybe a slight drop-off, but I think both of those are probably NFL guys as well. DeMonte Capehart is getting more and more playing time, so I'm really encouraged by that. Obviously, he was a highly rated recruit, maybe just a developmental guy when he got here. But so far, he's been flashing of late, played a lot against Tennessee. Hopefully, that's a sign of things to come. Ichinoza Rubin, I don't know. He can probably play impactful football. Right, he'll be in his 5th year if he stays. I think those 4 are probably pretty good. Then you get Caden Story. Who knows? Maybe he takes a huge step in year 2 to become an impactful player. Those 5, those are pretty good. I think those are quality defensive tackles. Maybe not elite like we've had in the past, but definitely enough to help us win a national championship. And then those 3 freshmen, I love all 3 of them. Obviously, I think we all know Peter Woods is going to be special. He's doing it right now at the camps. He's going to impact us next year. He's going to have that freshman impact that Christian, Dexter, and Brian had. He's going to be great. It's going to be hard to keep him off the field. I think he's going to be big time for us next year. Vic Burley, huge. Already on campus along with Stephylan Green. Already on campus. I think both those guys are going to be really, really good players. Just watch the tape. They're really good. I think all 3 of those guys could probably make an impact next year. So I'm fine not doing anything with defense tackle. Then we move to linebacker. Carter Trotter Special, probably the best linebacker duo in the country. I think both of those guys can be 1st or 2nd round draft picks. They're a little undersized, but I think modern NFL defenses can definitely utilize Carter. And I think Trotter's just a really good player. He probably needs to get better at getting off blocks, but he's a young guy. Offensive linemen are huge, and he's not the biggest guy in the world. Love both of them. I predicted Wade Woodaz would be one of the best players from his class. I remember that thread on TigerNet asking which 3-star recruit would ultimately be the most impactful. I said it was going to be Wade Woodaz. I love this tape. He reminded me of a faster Balin Spector, like a way more athletic Balin Spector. I think those 3, you're looking at a good linebacking core, a very athletic linebacking core, just like this past year. And then after those 3, what do you got? I like TJ Dudley. Liked him as a recruit. Happy that we got him late. He'll be a redshirt freshman. Not a lot of experience. I think he'll be ready to make an impact. But, I don't know. And then Kobe McLeod, redshirt freshman, didn't play a lot, not nearly as TJ did. I don't know. I don't know if he'll be ready. I hope, but I don't know. Jamal Anderson, love Jamal Anderson. I see him in that light of Trotter, Carter, Wood as a guy that's going to come in and can probably play immediately. Watch his tape. He's a playmaker, very athletic. Really glad we got him. Has a good pedigree. Dad played in the NFL. I think he'll be a really good linebacker for us. D. Creighton, no idea whether he comes in ready to go. I just don't know. Those are the 4 backups. I think this is a position where you can probably bring in another transfer portal player. Now, what I will say is those 3 starters, I think we're great there. So we probably don't need to bring in a starter, but we need to look at like the Hunter Johnson, the Paul Tysons of linebackers. Bring in these veteran linebackers that can come in and contribute and maybe teach these young guys how to develop. Just my opinion. I think that makes a lot of sense. Corner, I think reports were that we went after that Fintrell Cypress from Virginia. I wish we could have gotten him. It sucks that he went to Florida State. Their transfer portal class is insane. They're going to be a lot better next year. But if I look at our corner group, I think Nate Wiggins has that Trayvon, A.J. Terrell type year, his junior year, as in he can play his way into a first or second round draft pick. I think he has that type of potential. He clearly came on at the end of the season. Teams weren't really challenging him nearly as much. If you look at where he was at Wake Forest, where ended the season, night and day. I think he's going to carry that momentum into next year and just be amazing. I think he really will be a lockdown corner like Trayvon and AJ were when they were juniors. The other corner, I love Toriano Pride and I love Jaden Lucas. I think both of them ooze with so much potential. Both of them made freshman mistakes this year. Both of them looked like freshmen this year. But if I'm honest, it's not like they were getting torched by everybody, right? If you even go back to that Wake Forest game, Toriano Pride is in good position on a lot of the plays he gives up. It's just the Wake receivers were just making spectacular catches. Even Jaden Lucas, right? The touchdown he gave up against Tennessee, he was in coverage. He just missed batting the ball. He was in good position. I think both of them are going to be really, really good. However, are both of them going to be really, really, really good next year? I don't know. Right, Trayvon and AJ were really good as sophomores. Can Pride and Lucas be really good as sophomores? I don't know. That's another position I feel comfortable bringing in a veteran, maybe giving them one more year to develop. But if not, I still think both of them are going to be really good. So I think we'll probably end up being fine with those 3. Malcolm, veteran, as a 4th guy, more of a nickel corner in my opinion. Not really much of an outside corner, but those 4, not bad. And then it's just nothing but inexperience after that, right? Miles Oliver is a guy we got on late. Apparently he's got a lot of speed. Maybe and he got hurt this year. Maybe he develops, takes a pretty nice step. Maybe he's just like one cycle behind Pride and Lucas. And then the 3 freshmen we got, I don't know. Shelton Lewis, I think the coaches are recruiting him as a nickel. He's already on campus, so getting a head start. His recruiting rankings started going up later on in the year, which seems to me he's underrated still. If his rankings are going up late in the process, because I think at one point he wasn't even in the top 1,000, and now he's like rated. He's like much higher than that. Probably a guy the recruiting service has caught on late, and he'll probably end up being a lot better than his recruiting rankings indicate. Again, already on campus, probably a guy that can make an impact next year. And then Scherzier, Avion, good size, good length, ball skills. Will they be ready? I don't know. Corner's a position you can go get a portal player. Safety, I don't really think Jalen Phillips has a decision to make. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't think he'll get drafted really high, if at all. So coming back for a 5th year might be in his benefit. However, I think even if he didn't, I think we got 4 quality safeties. We probably don't need to go into the portal for a safety. Makuba needs to go back to safety. That's his natural position. Mickens will be a veteran. I like Mickens. I feel like he's made plays this entire career. Tyler Venables, going to be a savvy veteran. Instinctual, will know what to do every play. Will never, won't have mental mistakes. And then Sherrod Koval, I thought flashed a little bit this year. I think he's a guy that'll take a pretty big step in year 2. Love those 4. Kind Callan Griffin, got at him late in the process. Who knows how he develops? And then the 3 freshmen that we got, maybe one of them comes in ready to go. I like that position again. Even if Jalen doesn't come back, I don't really think we need to go into the portal to get anybody else. But those are my thoughts on the portal. Got to use it. There are positions right now where I would absolutely be offering people in the portal: wide receiver, offensive tackle, defensive end, linebacker, corner, for different roles. Obviously, linebacker to be a backup. The other positions to definitely be a starter. But we got to start using it, right? Like, if the elite programs are going to sign better classes than us and they're also going to use a transfer portal, I mean, at some point, talent just takes over. And these programs are just trending to be a lot more talented than us. So, again, I think we got to use the portal. The people who are so adamant about not using it, I just think you're dead wrong. Don't know what you're not seeing. But football's changed. The portal's changed it. You got to use it. And again, depending on what happens next year, or at least in the offseason, who knows where we are next year, right? I think if we make good additions, it's a possible playoff team. If we don't, if we lose people and don't bring in quality transfer portal players, then I stand by my 9-3 prediction. That's what I got on this one. All right, see you on the next one.